Shubor nakaslem jong Shongsaiñ Hima.
Namar ka Jingja Shaksiat Yap Kisan Ngut Jingshongsuk Hakashnong Mukro West Giant Hills District Haka Arpu Artarik Bunay Naiwing Arhajar Arpu Ar Kilami Shibun Gijing Persha Nagi Paidbah Halor Kani ka Jingja Hakaleng Gijaka Bat Kamtam Hapoh Nong Bat Shalong Handai Kilami Rupat Gijingja Haka Bakala Pendik Ni ka Jingshongsuk Shongsaiñ Hapoh Nong Bat Shalong Bat Haka Jylla Hi Barok Kawai Hakini Kisngi Bedang Shudep Namar Kiladon Ki Katu Kat Ni Ki Riu Shim Kabu Ki Bala Thau Jingkolmar Da Kaba Bom Bat Tiet Ki Riu Paidbah Penjat Penprai Ki Jingdon Jingem Bat Kiwei Komtana Kalyang Megalia Citizens for Peace and Justice Ne Kasngi Kalapanong Ye Jingïatai Halor Ka Jingbishar Hok Bat Ka Shongsuk Ka Jingpelong Ye Kate Ka Jingïatai Kalong Ban Wanrah Biang Ye Ka Jingshongsuk Shongsaiñ Hapoh Ka Jylla Bat Khanang Baganu Ganu Ka Jingsngau Ye Pher Jat Benri Hopreng Ki Khasi Bat Kibamde Ki Khasi Ka Numdan Satya Handai Bakin Long Bet Kawai Ya Kate Ka Jingïatai La Penya Da Ka Kong Angela Rangat Ka Kong Agnes Kharshieng Bat Ka Kong Wan Penhon Kharsentiu Haka Bala Yo E Ki Jingkran Ki Khatlai Ngut Ki Riu Paidbah Ki Bala Pensngau Ye Ki Jingsngau Ki Jongki.
You will be able to express what you feel and also offer suggestions of a way forward. The main intention being that we are here to condemn violence of any kind and that we have to find a way beyond hate crimes, beyond violence, to rebuild this city, to build our relationships, in a way where nobody feels threatened and everybody feels at home. So at this point of time, I would like to open the floor for deliberations and welcome anyone from among you who would like to share.
In Shillong, for the past few weeks, we have witnessed complete anarchy. No arrest, no one charged, and therefore no conviction. A beautiful land called Meghalaya, abode of cloud, denotes something ethereal and beautiful, as God its name tarnished just for the action of a handful of hoodlums guided by some mysterious hands. It's extremely heartbreaking to hear the name of Shillong being associated with hooliganism and gundagirdi, etc., whose tourism industry and its agrarian people and the marginalized sections are at the receiving end of the perpetrators of the hate crimes. It's high time the government of the day get up from its slumber and listen to the agonizing voice of its people. Meghalaya, with its natural resources, is a wealthy state, but these wealth are being looted by a fistful of people, tacitly under the protection of law, and fill their coffers to brim. In case when these ugly heads are about to get exposed, we find that some benefactor of the society whose involvement may help to nab these mafia elements becomes victims of violence directly at the hands of this mafia itself. The enemy of the common people are one, and that one needs to be exposed and convicted.
We are residing here, our generation is residing here since the last more than 125 years. But unfortunately, still I am the car. As Mr. Sarkar has pointed out, myself, I represented Marwari society, collected nearly $250 crore, that is 25 lakh rupees, and with active assistance from then DC during COVID time, and lot of assistance from all the respective headmen, represented by Mr. Rabla, we distributed food to 5,000 households. I won't boast I did that. But what I felt that during those difficult periods, poor people should not go hungry. That was the main agenda. That was the main motive, and we were successful. Now I will not like to say what happened, why we are here, because everybody has deliberated upon that. I just want to come to the solution, what can be done, instead of wasting your time and everybody's time. Now let us come to the crux of the matter, that non-tribals are that are hated by few, but most of the people are silent too. Now, how to solve this problem? Main thing is that we are here to solve the issue. How to solve it? What I think, I may be wrong also, but that is what I take. We non-tribals, we represent almost about 8% of the entire population. 92% are the indigenous people. Now, in spite of that, the indigenous people are threatened by the 8%, or they think that they will be swamped by the mainland India. But how this is possible? How this is possible? Even myself, staying here since the last 125 years, I can't buy a plot of land here or expand my business. If I cannot do that, how the other people from other part of the country, they can come and create a home for themselves. Even a rented house. Suppose if I take a rented house in Laitumukra, I am not allowed because I am an non-tribal. Because I have to take the permission from the headman. And if headman likes my face or something other way, I may get. But still, I am going to give my all the antecedents, but I can't buy, I can remain here. Every year I have to renew it. Okay, everything is fine. And I don't say that it is wrong. It is 100% absolutely right that the indigenous peoples should be respected, their feelings should be respected. And I being Dakar since last 125 years, I am not going to indulge myself into local politics. That is not my cup of tea. My children, they cannot get medical seat or engineering seat. I am happy about that. I don't say the state should give me this privilege, that privilege, this privilege. My thing is very, very simple. If I am not allowed to keep my head held high, I should not be allowed to keep it bow down. I should at least be allowed to move like a street dog who is not harmed by anybody. Who is not harmed by anybody. I just say that we have to find the solution.
I have my friends from Jylla community. I can speak fluently in Jylla if you want me to say. Ngayon ay klam na benar. Pero ki perlo jonga kide ka to benar. Benar na clear. I have lived with them. I have gone to their house. I have lived the tribal lives. Then I moved to Shillong, and here also I lived in Laban, and again, fortunately, I lived with my Khasi friends. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have very less non-tribal friends, but I do have tribal friends. And with conviction, I want to say 99.98% of tribals people are good people, humble people, and they love peace and harmony. 0.5% or what percent are there who they do this kind of activities which is very much not the social custom or the practice of the tribals. With few words I want to conclude. I just want to say that Meghalaya is a peace-loving state. People love peace and harmony. I think so 0.5%, they don't even make 1%. Few people come and make something and the entire community is blamed. Entire community is taken into a bad shape. I think so that has to change. From my perception, if you tell me, I think so the awareness has to go to the society. The society has to take the initiative. The society has to rise that if a thief is called a thief and a thief fears to come out in daylight, I think so the society has created the same fear among those people that they fear to come out. The society has to abolish them, like what we say in Hindi, that bahishkar karna. आपको उसको बहिष्कार करना पड़ेगा. You have to abolish them. Then only I think so the things will change. This is my small suggestion that this change has to come from the society itself. And I believe that no one can have a boiling rice. It is when the rice is cold, then only we can have it. Development, economy, jobs, nothing will come if there is the state is boiling. I belong to this community, Bengali community. I have been living here. I work in a private firm. I know that private firm want to invest here. I know that. But they are not willing to do that. If any company comes here and invests, I think so lots of opportunity will come, because the company will come and the people will come and stay in a rented house. It will, again, the economic cycle is there.
I'm in Assamese. I did my schooling here. I was not born here, but I went to boarding school here and married here and have lived here. So I have one foot in Assam and one in Meghalaya, but Shillong is definitely my home. And will always remain. So listening to some of the speeches that have been made, I was just reflecting that during the moment of COVID, we are just emerging from something where the best of humanity came to the front, as you all gave accounts of what each one did and so on. And from that, society is limping back. The kind of impact it has had on the poor people is unbelievable. It's tremendous, and people are just limping back. And as Angela says, this kind of hate, we are the losers. And that kind of keeps resonating in my ears, that we are the losers if we do not stop this culture of hate. And I do want to connect this culture of hate really to the broader context of what is happening in the country today. It is not just Meghalaya. It is a broader context of hate in which we are living. And we have to find ways of generating oxygen amongst ourselves to get rid of that hate. And I agree with Mr. Agarwal. We condemn the indiscriminate firing of the Assam police in no uncertain terms. And why was the Assam police allowed to do that? And I see it as the culture of impunity that we find in the country, and something which has been spreading and spreading. When it hits our own community, then we are shaken. But this culture of impunity of the Assam police has come to the fore, and again, we didn't raise our voice. 2 years back, was it, when there was an eviction drive and people were gunned down. They didn't belong to our community, to our religious persuasion, and to our ethnic identities, so none of us, or few of us, only raised our voices. It was the same level of impunity in which people were gunned down, and there was a horrific image of a government media person jumping on the dead body of the person who was gunned down. So, this culture of impunity has been creeping in, and we are kind of becoming apathetic to the violence and to the culture of impunity, which is taking us into a cesspool of dark and, unimaginable future.
So how will the peace come? Everybody thirsts for the peace everywhere. And we, in every house, 4 corners, will talk of this, why they are doing this, kiniki kanadaka, they are mischievous boys and whatnot, all in the 4 corners. We kasi we say, when you call like this, no detail, very few like-minded people will come. Anyway, but better from here, let it pass on. When we need peace, mean you can never get peace without love. Love is most important. Love means you love started. Charity begins at home, in the family. How to bring them up with love and affection. And my neighbors, when we think about neighbor, as a Christian, I think, love thy neighbor as thyself. We think that neighbor is my next door neighbor. Actually, here, all of you also my neighbor. I sit in the bus also as a neighbor. Whatever happened to them, I have to see. I'm proud, I'm happy to be in Laban, and especially my locality. I did not introduce. My name is Phyllis Rani. I'm from Madan Laban, born and brought up in Laban. So I'm very happy because my locality near Shillong Bidyalaya There, those days I remember when there's a curfew 88 or something, whatever, it's tense, Shillong. But we live with Assamese, Bengali, Bihari, and there's some Punjabi, Nepali. They all come, we are playing in my compound, they're playing carom board there, and we share the food. I'm telling you the truth. They all come and we share. So I used to say, here is India, we are all one. That is, we have to have that spirit, we have to help. And just remember that word is very important. As a Christian, we have to practice. Even the non-Christian, every religious book is written to love our people.
And the heart is inhuman. Not that the heart is inhuman, that kasi. No, we are all humans. If you pinch me, I'll feel the pain. If I pinch you, you feel the pain. If you cut my hand, the blood will come out. So these let us keep things aside. It depends on the mindset of a person who thinks. We can demand in a very peaceful way, in a very mannered way. Like some others have said, that you go and demand in front of a hospital. Are you going to demand from the sick patients, or are you demanding from the government? You demand from the sick people, those people who are sick there. They are in problem, they want to get cured. They feel their pain, and now additional shout, additional noise is coming. Does it hamper them or not? It hurts them. And sometimes people get hurt, heart patient also there, and die out of a heart attack. This they should keep all into account. So if you fight with the government. We are also from the NGOs. Till when we fight, we used to give letters, we write, we fight with the government. Even I'll tell you one thing, NIGREMS, the cardio department, is to be privatized. What's about? That we went up to Delhi to meet Dr. Salan and all. We give the right thing. And then at that time, the NIGREMS did not privatize the cardio department. It is due to us. We have in writing, we have all in it. Well, in a very manner way, in an official way. You fight with the government in an official way, not in the streets. It doesn't mean that now you kick some person and you say you demand your rights. I don't think so that is the right way. Or you burn some vehicle, you keep in a fear manner. So then I need that really Angela, that people that who really wanted for peace, let us arrange some rally or something in a very peaceful way.
And the first time I went, I was really disgusted, I was really shocked when I entered that premise. Those students who were training for the automobile, to be automobile mechanics, you believe it or not, they had to do the practical work, and an outdated Mahindra Jeep. Even if we had to give it to the museum, they would not even dare with that proverbial passport. So being a journalist, because after I retired as a journalist, so there was a press conference. Rangan Chatterjee was the chief secretary at that time. I pleaded with him, sir, kindly go and visit ITI in India. You just go and visit, I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, please visit it. And he did go. About 3 or 4 weeks later, there was another press conference. And then I don't know, I said something provoking. He said, you know, Billy, it was because of your request, I went and visited ITI. The chief secretary went. Not long after that, they had a wall for the safeguarding of the property. And not long after that, they had one unit donated by Tata Motors for the motor mechanic section, for testing of engines and all.
In Jylla Hills, the gunning down of the 6 people, but also to the violence that happened here. And as Mr. Singh had said, actually, sometimes much of this, especially the violence on the street, is being done by fringe elements. But somehow their voices seem to be loud. And we need to ensure that we amplify voices like the ones today. True. We need to amplify the call for justice, for peace, for rights, voices against corruption, voices for a better system, voices for development, and a development which is inclusive for everyone. I think that is so important. So, I mean, the press are also here. I think that much more space needs to be given, because even after the violence that happened on 28th October and again on 22nd November on the streets of Shillong, believe me, majority of the people are saying enough is enough. And we need to amplify that voice. The state we find ourselves in Meghalaya, corruption has hit the roof, whereas on all the developmental indicators, all of you have said it. Education, healthcare, jobs, safety and security is all in the dumps. And we need to reclaim all of these things again. We need to go back to our constitution. Many people are saying that I too am indigenous. You know, these words sometimes, naming and labels, they also have their own definitions and meanings. So somebody will contest whether you're indigenous, whether only tribals are indigenous. And also similarly, people will contest the use of other words. For instance, we have seen, even in social media, there are people who try to instigate, when violence happens. So they talk about a purging, they talk about a massacre, but we have to put these things in perspective also. Because we're giving people outside of the state, people who have no stakes here, people who don't have a love for this place, we're giving them the chance to further divide and further cause chaos in our own backyard. So the words we choose also, I think, are really important. And as another speaker had spoken, this culture of impunity. So we need to put forward solutions. So how can we address a culture of impunity if we pick and choose our fights? We cannot pick and choose our fights. Because many times, when Kong Agnes or me speak, we're always accused that, oh, you are anti-Khasi. I'm not anti-Khasi, I'm not pro-Dakhar, I'm not anti-Dakhar. I am a person who thinks, who believes deeply that each one of us has value. We have to put humanity first. But somehow that gets lost in all of the noise. And so we should always be a little cautious not to allow anybody to capture and not to try and say an eye for an eye or start comparing our crimes. How many more people on this side or how many more people on that side have been hit or killed, or a crime is a crime. And this level of impunity, we have to call it into question. And by saying that whenever there's a crime, there has to be speedy justice. There has to be better policing. We, the public, need to know how many arrests you've made. After a few weeks, after a few months, we need to know whether there has been a conviction. Most times we don't know. And so it goes on like that, and there's rumor mongering, and there's feeding, into the fear and the insecurity more. So I just wanted to put forward this suggestion. And the other thing I think which is really important is that while our constitution has given us tribals, Dalits, certain rights, certain protections under the 6th schedule, we also need to know that our identities keep shifting. For instance, from a religious point of view, I am a majority Christian in this state. But we know that there are certain pockets of people who still practice the indigenous faith who also feel discriminated in this state. Similarly, we know that in terms of communities of language, there are people who are minorities here, but you may not be minorities elsewhere. And so the yardstick for us as a state, as a society, to see not just whether we're civilized, but whether we have a hope that we will progress, is how we ensure the safety, security, and well-being of the minorities. And when I say minorities, it depends on you, how you feel, and whether you are a minority in a particular context. So here in Meghalaya, for instance, a non-Khasi, a non-Christian is a minority. And it is our job you and me to ensure, first and foremost, that they are protected, that they get safety and security as a right, because protection also, as somebody said, it can be based on a payout system, on a hafta system, on a gundagari system, and that we have to reject. We cannot ever expect that we will have safety, security, and peace if we are expecting somebody else to protect us, and that protection in the form of muscle power or money power. So these are just some of the things I wanted to put forward today, and I hand over now to Kong Wan Pinhun to maybe bring this meeting and everything, all the deliberations together, after which perhaps we can try and cull out some main points, which if you want, we can put forward to the public and the government.
In shopen mensau lani in shweta ni kibrio halenti habaya habayen ngatharai kalade kapori ni kum kikbe kikpa le se kum kan kalong kumi kabalada ni kikhun kala samla ngashim ya kali kalat kaba ngan pasha ki nuksai barede baya kini ki ai ki ai baro la ni kwa pan kala ide ban sedang ru dalai kum kalong kumi le se kadai ka nuksa ka barede ka banga ngala ban ai kadi kandai ka sinjam kaba mangi hibaro kum kikbigi pangi di banshim bangin sedang bangin hikai ya lagi khon nalayin kitim senang kitim trau ngijuang ba kari khasi jai dia jangi kadai kari tepriu teplai hadu kadnu ngitip yo priu ban hadu kadnu ngitip yo blai ngin bishar na ki di ki jingja ki bami sakhi man la kasni bat ki bami yo I man la kasni kajing syakhang ya ka call internet ka balakta ya ki kena puli ka balakta ki nong kamai jakpo ki ba phero pher kini baro ki ban na ka daw jong kata kajing le se kajing don jong ki katu ka di kirushim kabu klem le nyau kertang yanu hanrai kitu kirushim kabu ro ganong ki di ki khon jong no re phiban ek na kai ka sam jong no re kan mau balada kiban kum kijingja hakaye ka jongphi ngindon ka jo ka jingpang ka bensi tengi kum kikme kikpa ngikwa bagin yo I bagi khon samna jongi haba phia khon na ka banta kita ki hok ki jongphi ya khon da kalenti ka bahok om da kalenti ka badu musna takini ki kenten ki bakhangian ngan ai khoblai ge ngi